What is poppin' in my chop in my Bagel Bites? It is Mr. Bagel Bites here, bringing you something new on the channel. My first deck profile on the channel, actually. We've done a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh now with Nick. It's been a while since there's been an upload. I probably don't want to look, but yeah. For those who don't know, I did have a son, and that has taken up a lot of my time. But I have been getting to spend a lot more time playing Yu-Gi-Oh lately again, and this deck has had me just sparking with creativity ideas. Yeah, so it's the Shining Sarc deck, the Yugi retrain cards. I think these cards are absolutely insane. I think people are overlooking them because they didn't do exceedingly well in Japan. So I think people are kind of overlooking them, and I think that's a huge mistake. I think they're really good. I definitely think this is a deck, maybe not specifically this variation, although I have had success with it, that you could take to even a relatively small regional and do well with. I'll kind of give my insight with why I picked some of the tech choices, because honestly, I almost like deck building Yu-Gi-Oh more than actually playing a lot of the time. I love deck, especially in Edison, but I've been really grinding modern Yu-Gi-Oh again. So let's kind of get into it here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off here. We had two of the Gandoras. This card is just so insane. If it was any other version of this deck, I would say definitely bump this to 3. I think this card is so insane. Especially with our format now with the ban list where we don't have Barone and Boral Savage to negate this as easily as, so you can play through and get a lot of your cards through, and then this guy just comes in, wipes the board, makes himself huge, puts up another body, and banishes them too, which is really cool. So I definitely think this card is in this version at 2, but I could definitely see in a different one depending on what you want to play it at 3. I think this card is absolutely insane. We're playing 3 of the Tricolor Gadget. It's the Searcher, it's the starter. It is kind of easily stoppable, so it's good to play a deck that can kind of bait some of the other options, unless you want to change your deck to put Nobleman or something, Crossout. But yeah, Searcher, Shining Sarc. Sure, it's a Shining Sarc spell card or trap card. It's going to be a spell card. The trap card's bad. I'm not going to lie. It's a brick. I can see how it could come up and be useful, but I don't think it's worth the slot in the deck to have a negate, or not a negate, a monster pop if they attack. It's just not very feasible. But yeah, this guy's insane. If you play him at lower than 3, I just don't really know why. In this version, I only play 1 of the Silent Magician 0. In a grind game, I could see this going to 2. I just hate opening them because she's a spell negate who increases her level every turn, and that's really good. But drawing it and having it be my normal over trio or something, or if you draw ties of the new Ties of the Brethren retrain for this deck, that's specifically for these guys, it just feels so bad opening them. So I only have it at 1. Another deck could play this one at 2, just we're also only playing 1 of the Swordsmen. I don't think I'd ever put this at higher than 1. Even in a pure version, I probably wouldn't put it higher than 1. But I do think this could definitely see it 2 for grind game potential. And if you've gone through it and you've played your Gandora and it's gotten banished, that way you have a second, so you can bring it off the Gandora on its effect. I definitely see the utility in that, and again, having a spell negate is really strong, especially in the TCG right now. So I wouldn't place it higher probably than 2, but there's definitely an argument for it, depending on what you like. We're playing 2 more Marshmallow. This card's absolutely insane. Only reason I don't like it, I've drew it almost every game. Every opening hand had 1 to 2 of these. I still ended up winning, going 5-0, but it felt really bad because we actually have a card that utilizes this, but it needs to be... We have 2 cards, actually, that utilize this in the deck, but it needs to be in the deck. And okay, so when it's destroyed, so even off Gandora or anything, you can just special summon another one from literally anywhere. Hand, deck, graveyard, banished, anything. Comes out to the field and burns your opponent for 1,000. If you got Shining Sarc on the field, they have to attack this. This card's really good, and it can be really good against Tenpai and stuff too, because they are forcing to attack this, which doesn't feel incredibly great depending on any other interrupts you might have. So they're also not getting any damage in, especially if it's in defense, and if they have to synchro into something to pop this, and you do have the second, because not a lot of people play the second that I've seen, because I've been looking at different lists. They're just oh, this is kind of awkward, because even the one that stops activated effects in the battle phase, they're not going to get to that before. I can't say never, but like very rarely, because no one knows what these cards do right now. Are they gonna like be able to get that out before this is gonna just be there and be a presence? Because if you have Shining Sarc on the field, you can just special summon this from your hand, like on your opponent's turn at any point. So like as soon as they enter the battle phase, they're like confident. They're like, oh yeah, this thing has like 1500 attack because it's only got one boost. I'll just swing over it, and you're just like, all right, more Marshmallow. They're just like, oh, that's not great for me. But no, I think this card's really good. Also, it's a level 3 light that will come up later. I'll show that later. We're playing 3 of the spell. You have to. It's a searcher. It can't be destroyed by monster effects, so it stays on the board even after Gandora blows it up. I mean, yeah, it has another cool utility effect that we were able to utilize a few times, actually. Where if your opponent would special summon a monsters from the graveyard, you can discard a spell to negate the summon. It's pretty strong. I wish it was a field spell. It would have a lot more options to play it. Being a continuous spell makes this really awkward, where and the fact that it can only not be destroyed by monster effects. If you had like an anti-target or like banish, like it can't be removed by opponent's cards, like it could be really good, and I would be fine with it as a continuous spell. But like having to like burn your swordsman, who's a negate for targeting, to like stop it, kind of sucks. But it's something. Like, it's a good card. I definitely think it's really strong still. We play 2 Turn Silence. I want to play this at 3 so bad, but there are just so many situations where you don't have, like, okay, so I'll kind of explain what it does. If you have Shining Sarc as well as a monster that mentions it, so like the gadgets, any of the silent cards, more Marshmallow and Gandora, you activate this, target your monster, it gains 3 levels, which is relevant for the 2 silent cards, not so much the other ones. Because every level they have, they gain an extra 5. But if this is activated in response to a monster effect by your opponent, no matter where it's coming from, it just negates it. So like they're like, okay, you're on summon number 5, I'll activate Nib, and you're just like, oh, target Silent Magician, she's going to gain 1500 attack, and it's going to negate your Nib. So it makes some of your plays go through, like Tricolor Gadget, if you already have the Shining Sarc, and you're going to search like a spell like this one coming up. You go ahead and just target him. The 3 levels gained doesn't matter to him, but you're still negating it. And then it also has a graveyard effect, which is really cool. And also really strong against Tempai. So if they go to attack your monster, you can banish this from the grave, and then it just ends their battle phase. Like, on the spot. And they're like, oh, well, my stuff didn't go through. Feels pretty bad. We play 3 Future Silence. I can't see myself ever bumping this lower. It's a quick play spell, it's a search, and it also has another really cool effect. So if you activate this during the battle phase, both players draw until they have 6 cards, so it has a built-in like anime Card of Sanctity effect. How that's important is Silent Magician gains 500 every time. It gains a level, so 500 by extension, every time your opponent draws a card. So let's say they have like 4 cards in hand. You can activate this in the battle phase, like when you swing, like you're going for game. They're like, oh, it has 2,500, so I'm going to be alive by like 2,000 or something, if it comes up. Because it definitely can with Gandora, because Gandora can get really large too. And you're like, on tech deck, we're going to go ahead and go to Future Silence. We're both going to draw cards, and then as soon as the cards get drawn, Silent will activate. It's going to gain 4 levels, and you're going to get in for possibly that remaining damage, and then you're going to gain however many more cards you get, because you're going to search for your card. You're probably going to grab like more Marshmallow or something, that way you have it for your opponent's turn if it somehow gets stopped, and then you're going to draw like 5 cards. It's so good. This is the new retrain, the Ties That Bind. So if you have Shining Sarc and a card that mentions it, you target one of your monsters, and then you special summon from your hand or not hand or graveyard, hand or deck 2 monsters that are 4 or below that mention Signing Sarcophagus. So ideally you have like Gadget, you target Gadget, and then you special summon Silent Swordsman and Silent Magician. So then you have like both of them for free. You can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn after you activate that, but this deck doesn't give a single flying anything about your extra deck. So you can kind of be cheesy with that. So you can play like Nadir's Servant, you can play a lot of like those like Dogmatica cards, you can run like literally every Super Poly target, you can do whatever you want. There's just a lot of stuff you can utilize because you want to keep most of your guys on board. This is the engine we chose to play for this one. I don't know if I'd do it going forward. I think it was strong for locals. I don't know if it'd be strong in a regional or higher level event. You could probably take some people, but I don't know. I do think these mesh well together since you don't need your extra deck. These cards don't require your normal summon where Gadget's taking it. So I think they have a lot more synergy than people think they do. Because people are like, but you're Gandora, they can't swing and it's big. Well, yeah, it's going to be big because you're banishing all your opponent's cards. Because Gandora gains 300 for each banished card, either yours or your opponent's. So it gets really big, especially with the Runick cards. But you just need, like, okay, like the Bestial Runick deck, I mean, like, it needs to attack. You're ideally not just killing them by deck out. Like, that doesn't really happen very often. So, like, the one turn you take off where you don't have to use your cards or you activate them in the battle phase, your Gandora just goes in for game and you try to play it accordingly. Like, saying that they don't mesh because you need to attack is just a non-argument. This deck isn't only stun deck. It's not only, like, the stun deck. That's not real. So we're playing the 2 Fountain. We're playing a pretty big Runick package because, like, drawing these in the battle phase, especially off of like your opponent's battle phase, off of like Future Silence. So like, let's say you deplete your hand, you're down to like 1 Runick card that you drew off of like Fountain that you had to do like turn 1, and then you pass your opponent's turn. They want to battle you. Like, you start battle phase, you can be like Future Silence, grab like more Marshmallow, and then draw 5 cards. You're gonna probably draw more Runick cards. I almost always did. So I have a whole hand of Runick cards, more Marshmallow, and then like whatever else is in the hand, like for interaction or follow-up. Your opponent typically does draw 2, but draw as well, but they're not going to place like their back row or do anything, so they're not going to draw as many. It does suck giving them extra cards, but ideally they really blew their load in the main phase 1 going into battle phase, and then you're just netting a bunch of advantage and then can use your Runick spells on their turn because they're in your hand and the field spells ideally still up to just keep drawing as well. So like you draw like 5 cards and add the 1, and then Runick Fountain, you can like activate 3 of the Runick spells that you might get and draw 3 more cards potentially. Like, you just keep drawing. Like, they interact really well together in a way that I wasn't expecting. So we play 2 Fountain, 3 Tip, 3 Destruction, really good. Destruction was insane. 3 Flashing Fire, really good. 3 Slumber, 3 Curses, 1 Dispelling, 1 Storm, and then the tech of the deck in here. So this card overperformed the whole tournament, not the whole weekend, but the tournament. So Mutamorph, this card is insane. So it has a couple interactions. So you go ahead and activate a Runick spell. We'll just say Smithing Storm because it's right here. You then, if you've already used a Runick spell, which is really cool, like if you have the spell engrave, the field spell, you can special summon Jerry and add that back. So that's like whatever. That's not what we're going for. But it actually it gives you more starters basically, because then you can go, now you have like 1 engrave too, so that works for Fountain later. You go Mutamorph, tribute the Jerry, and what's so cool about that is then you get the special summon a 4 from your deck, and then it returns to your hand at the end phase. So ideally you can get Gadget right here, and then you get to start your whole combo, and you've already used a Runick spell too. So you get your Shining Sark, and then Shining Sark will add a card, and then whatever you add off Shining Sark will probably add a card, and you can just keep going. In an ideal world. Obviously, you're not going to get it every time. There could be an Ash. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! But even if you have like the trio already, like you can tribute the Jerry to get like one of the silent cards, either Magician or Swordsman. So then you have those on board already, and ideally can then just like get any of these other cards, any of these other silent cards, the Yugi retrains. So I think Mutamorph really overperformed. It also has one other target. Where is it? So Mutan's a 3 light. So it also, or I guess that part doesn't matter. Light Fairy. The attributes don't matter on this one. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's just the level. So you tribute Munin and you can get more Marshmallow. It doesn't always come up, but if you already have like Tricolor and you want a body on board already, you can be like more Marshmallow and then activate the Shining Sark, and then some of the cards that require to have both already. Like let's say you open up Shining Sark, they ash your search off the Shining Sark to get a body, so you can play Ties That Bind. But you have like Mutamorph and a runic spell, literally any runic spell, you can activate this, special summon like Munin or Jerry. Obviously, you typically want to get Jerry, but then you can Mutamorph it, turn it into Munin or Jerry into one of the other cards. So it just comes up enough that I thought it was really cool tech. I think I wouldn't play probably in like any other version of this, but I do think it has a place in this deck, and I really liked it. And then we play 2 Super Poly in the main. We side the third. I just hate opening multiple of this typically because I have to discard a card with it. So like immediately if you open up and you have to play both of these, you're down to 1 card. Now if you open up both 2 cards you don't care about and a starter, I mean you're just going to the races. I mean you're just pissing excellence. But that's not always the case, obviously. So we will continue here. 1 SP. I mean, it's just a good card. You can go into your extra deck. You just don't need anything in it specifically. 1 Typhon. You can just make it. I mean, it's good. Literally, over the more Marshmallow even, you can do a lot. Play 2 Hugin. I probably wouldn't... I don't think you really need 3 in a deck like this. But, I mean, like, yeah, it's good. 1 Munin. Where is he? 2 Jerry. Because we're playing the Mutamorph, I bumped it to 2. It's also really good because it can't be destroyed by card effects. So if you have this on board and you Gandora blow up the board, he stays. It doesn't really come up, but then if you have like the Mutamorph after, you can be like Jerry, Gandora, because this did actually come up. Gandora comes out, pay F, blow up the board. This stays, activate the Mutamorph, tribute the Gary, then grab the other card that Gandora didn't special. So that can be really cool. That came up a couple times. At least once. I know at least once for sure. We play 1 Sleipnir. I like Sleipnir. I like to have the option of a monster that's not one of these. Sleipnir has like decent attack being at 1500, and it's basically another SP in a way because it can banish itself and one of your opponent's monsters, and then they come back. And so it removes itself from the board by doing that during the main phase or your opponent's battle phase. So you can activate another runic spell to special, and you're like getting rid of a problem potentially. So I do think Sleipnir is pretty good. And then the Super Poly targets, I think, is the rest. Yeah. 1 Dragostapelia, which is good. 1 Yubel. So if you're playing against Yubel, obviously you just get to blow them out. And I played like some weird ones, but I saw how they could come up. So like if you're playing against like Dragon Link or something that makes like Dissipator, you can use that to still get rid of it. People are like, oh, Baron's gone, so that's not as good. I mean, yeah, you're right, but there are warriors, and if you have like your swordsman on board too, he's a warrior, so this can help get rid of that and clear it. Ignister, I think, is still good. Panzer Dragon's good. We play the machine cards, or the gadgets are machines, so that comes up too. So if they don't have their own, you get to do it. 1 Garua, 1 Mud Dragon. There could probably be other options. Like I even considered running the new Ashened 2 Pyro special. Like I think he has a place for sure. There's definitely preference based. Like Starving Venom could be really good here too. I took it out because it didn't come up enough. Like I never felt like I'm like ever going into that over like one of these guys. And now we'll get into the side. I think the side went really well. There's not much I would probably change. Maybe add more Bestials in, but we'll kind of go over it real quick. Triple D Barrier. I mean, it's insane. It overperformed every time I drew it. 3 Ogre. I think Ogre is insane right now. I'd like to main it, but it's not good in every matchup, so I'd rather side it. Galaxy Cyclone, Stun, Runick, Voiceless, anything that plays something that you just want to get rid of. It's really good. I don't see a reason to really not play this at 3 right now. We played 2 Bestial names, being 1 Mag, 1 Druid's Worm. I mean, obviously, if Mag was higher, what's nice with this is you special summon Mag, and then Mag can actually search Gandora. So that's really cool. 3 Nib, and then the 3rd Super Poly. So, like, the 3rd Super Poly could probably become a 3rd name, but yeah. But that's the deck profile. I think this deck's really insane. I already have a couple other brews for this worked up. But I think these cards are really good. Like, Gandora's really, really powerful. And, yeah, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to comment, hit that like, subscribe button. Super appreciate it. Tell me if you want to see, like, more content like this, like duels and stuff. But, yeah, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. And, yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.